Hey, everybody. Welcome very much all over the internet. We're live streaming this across social accounts for Logos. If you're watching on X, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, just tell us in the comments where you're watching from, what sort of things you're reading right now. Would love to hear from all of you. And today I get to be joined with my colleague, Kirk Miller. How you doing, Kirk?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
Doing fine. I'm excited to chat with you because you're sort of our resident. How would
Nerd.
I put this? You're not. No, I would not say that, but just like our. You're kind of like our expert in basically everything libraries and like. I remember hearing you say that like a past job was as like a research librarian, and
Yeah.
and I just think that's amazing because you have kind of like the inside scoop on what books to go to for whatever is going on.
I love
So,
books. So, yeah,
hey,
love to talk
perfect.
about books. If I come over to your house, you'll probably find me over by your bookshelf just looking through your books. I love
I
books.
love it.
So, yeah.
Well, that's great. And I mean, that's more or less what we're going to do in a digital means right now as we talk about our best commentaries sale that we have going on at Logos right now. So, if you're watching, listening, and in the market for commentaries or just, want to see what's on sale right now, what's worth taking advantage of at the moment, we're going to go through a couple highlights for you, give you some inspiration if you're in the market for these things. But yeah, otherwise, we're just going to have some fun and learn some things. Maybe you could tuck these away for a wish list at a later date as well. But Kirk, we were kind of like chatting a little bit in preparation for this, and we were kind of discussing some of the challenges that it takes to take into account when you're looking for a good commentary. What comes to mind for you when you're trying to think about commentaries?
Yeah, so I'll say this is the best commentary sale that we have running right now, and I'll just say at the outset that this is probably my favorite sale that Logos runs. So before I worked for Logos, this was my favorite sale. I think a lot of, not everybody, but a lot of users of Logos are people who are regularly teaching or preaching through books of the Bible, and commentaries are a common companion in that process for a lot of people. And so this is up to 50% off on a lot of these commentaries, sometimes maybe 35% off, things like that. It's a great discount on a resource that people are using quite a bit. Now, to answer your question, I think a lot depends on so if you're looking at the sale, a lot depends on, there's so many commentaries for sale, unless you're going to buy like all of them. But most
Mm,
people aren't going to go and buy, hundreds and hundreds. But if you're going to
yeah,
buy a select few, which ones are you going to buy? You're probably thinking, if you're a pastor, what book of the Bible do I have coming up that maybe I'm preaching through or that I'm currently preaching through? This is a great opportunity to take a look at commentaries in that book. Otherwise, like you
mm,
said, Matt, the challenges of thinking about a commentary, that's where you want to explore things like types of commentaries. Are they expositional? Are they exegetical? How technical are they? Do they deal with the original languages? Are they more applicational? And so knowing the types of commentaries can help inform how you think about purchasing a commentary, what sort of commentary you're after. So those are the
that's
kind of
really
things that
cool.
come to my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm excited to learn from you right now, kind of like live about these things because, yeah, I wouldn't say I know the ins and outs of what goes into a commentary. How is it, what's the best use of this commentary and why? So, yeah, we can
Yeah.
learn a little bit about that together. As, the folks listening at home may also be wondering these kinds of things. So, what's the first commentary or set that you have to share with us?
Yeah, so I'll kind of share. So let me, if you want to pull up the page, we have the sale page pulled up. I'll kind of just give, like, if you want to run to logos.com, go under deals to best commentary. This is always where you can find our sales, best commentary sale. That's the page I have pulled up here. There's a lot of ways you can go about exploring the sale. Of course, sign in to see your dynamic price. You can just click on this shop all, and it's going to give you the list of all of our commentaries for sale. You can look at commentaries by category. You can, like, say you're preaching through a given book of the Bible. Say you're preaching through Leviticus. You can click on Leviticus. It's going to pull up some of our best Leviticus commentaries, organize them by type: pastoral, exegetical, academic, applicational. We also have the New Testament as well. And then we also have collections, commentary collections,
Hmm.
that you can check out. I'm actually going to go back and refresh this page. We've developed, so in addition to the individual volumes, we've also developed these new commentary collections. And so these are a really helpful way to buy commentaries in bundle. So say you want to get some like an exposition or an exegetical commentary. Let's click the New Testament one here, for example. I can go in here and it's going to give me a bundle of all sorts of exegetical commentaries. I can click to hide the ones that I own if I was logged in here. And here we're going to see loads of different commentaries like the Pillar, the New International. And so this is a great way to go about if you're wanting to purchase in bulk. And of course, if you purchase in bulk, you're going to be saving money with that bulk pricing. So that's kind of like an introduction to how you might think about the sale. You can think of in terms of specific books, commentaries for a specific book, or you can kind of think in terms of the collection. We also have some one volume commentaries as well. So that's kind of a high level overview.
That's really helpful to kind of see like the variety. So we have like individual commentaries that might be about a book of the Bible. We have these sets that are more kind of like, hey, here's expositional biblical commentaries all grouped in about the New Testament. And then there's a third category which is like standalone single volume commentaries. Is that right? All right, cool.
Yeah, so, and the sets are not like, sometimes you can purchase a series, like a commentary series, like say the Word Biblical Commentary series. These collections pull from various series, which gives them an advantage. So it sometimes is helpful to buy a series. That's a way to, if you really like a series, you got that bulk pricing. But what's nice about these collections is it's pulling from a variety of series. So you get the advantages of each of those.
That's nice. Yeah. Okay, so it's like a mix and match, best of, kind of like greatest hits, more or less. I love it.
Right.
That's cool. All right, so let's get into some specific recommendations that you might have, depending on what people are interested in.
Yeah, so I'll start with a one volume commentary. So this is probably like if you're doing more in-depth work, like a pastor studying through a preaching through a book of the Bible, you probably want more in-depth commentaries, but it can still be helpful to have a one volume commentary. If you're like a lay person who just wants to be able to get a one-stop shop resource on the whole of the Bible, this is a great way to go. One volume commentaries, you can find them down here, are because it's in one volume, you're covering the whole Bible in one-ish volume. It's going to cover things more briefly and at a high level. So there's some advantage of that rather than having to weigh through all the details that a typical commentary has. One that I really like is the New Bible Commentary. And so one of the advantages of this, as opposed to some other options, is that it's a team of scholars. So you're getting scholars who are experts on their particular book of the Bible. So rather than getting just one person's opinion, like some study Bibles are written by one person, that's fine. I tend to like this because you're getting experts for each section of the Bible. It's going to give you a very brief overview, commentary of every book, as well as some helpful introductory articles. And so that's one I would want to highlight for the single volume commentaries.
Awesome. And so when you're thinking of like the person who would find this useful, you're thinking the pastor. I mean, would there be like, because I know sometimes there's like theological angles connected to these as well.
Yeah.
What's your mind with that?
Yeah, this is broadly evangelical. You're going to have a host of contributors from across the evangelical landscape. I would say, like, I will reference this commentary on occasion, like, especially if I just want to get like a quick take on a passage. But this is also going to be really good for maybe the person who doesn't want to get as technical. So this is a great commentary that I recommend to your serious layperson who's interested in studying scripture, but maybe doesn't want to weigh into, 20 pages, 40 pages on a given verse or passage. It's going to be much more higher level. So, but this is a great one to have. You can kind of think of it almost like a study Bible in a way, but in a brief commentary overview format.
Awesome. That's helpful. Cool.
Yeah.
And what else? Like what else would you recommend?
Yeah. So when you look at single, I would definitely recommend checking out these collections if you're just looking to build up your library. If we're talking about single volumes, if someone's just looking at, what sort of volumes should I look at purchasing during the sale, some of the very best commentaries that came to my mind, just commentaries on any book of the Bible, I definitely would want to mention Doug Moo's commentary on Romans. He has the first edition. This is the second edition. So I just wanted to highlight that regular price, $90. You are saving 40% off, so $36 there save for a total of $53.99. And so this is a great time. Commentaries can be expensive. This is a great sale to pick up some of these commentaries. Doug Moo's commentary on Romans. If you're preaching or teaching through Romans, this is a must-have commentary. One of the very best commentaries on the book of Romans. So I definitely recommend that. I also think of G.K. Beale's work on the book of Revelation. He has a commentary in, is it the New International Greek Commentary on the New Testament? But this, there's a series of these more like concise commentaries. For instance, Gordon Fee has a contribution on 1 Corinthians, I believe. And they take what was otherwise a really, really in-depth commentary. And it's still pretty in-depth, but it condenses it. And so when I preach through Revelation, I use this one as well. This is a great one to pick up, G.K. Beale on Revelation. Going to some Old Testament, Willem van Gemmeren's commentary on the Psalms in the revised edition of the Expositor Bible Commentary. This is a great commentary on the Psalm that I would recommend people looking into. And then there's also this book on the Minor Prophets that is, if you haven't heard of this, you definitely need to check this one out. It's its own sort of standalone series, you might say. So it is a commentary that covers all 12 of the Minor Prophets, edited by Thomas Mick. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He contributes to one of the books, but as you see, you have contributors like F.F. Bruce, Joyce Baldwin, Alec Motyer, Tremper Longman, and these folks provide commentary on every book in the Minor Prophets. And so this is like an all-star team, like a dream team of Old Testament scholars, providing, you buy this one volume commentary and you have commentary on all 12 books in the Minor Prophets. And then the last one I thought I would emphasize is Gordon Wenham. I believe he recently passed away, if I'm not mistaken. Gordon Wenham was a phenomenal Old Testament scholar, and he wrote a phenomenal commentary on Leviticus. I wanted to throw that in because we don't often think of Leviticus as this exciting book, but I read this in college. I remember one summer, I just read it straight through as a weird nerd and just loved it. It just was a great introduction to the book of Leviticus and all the cultic symbolism involved in the tabernacle and such. So those are maybe some highlights I would throw out.
So good. And I also just love the picture of you at the beach or something, like pulling open this Leviticus commentary. And you're like, this is exactly what I want to do with my sunshine time for the summer between grades or whatever. That's fantastic. Awesome. That's really helpful, Kirk. And I am actually seeing a couple of questions in the chat if you want to also take a look.
Let's go for it.
There. And the first question, I'm not understanding. Does the Bible speak about frequency? Does that make sense to you? If not, then if you're the original poster of that question, then please add some clarity for us about what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. We have a question coming from Facebook. What are some good commentaries for the Apocrypha? Do you have any thoughts on that from kind of like this kind of research librarian part of your mind? If you can reach back in there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I probably don't have great recommendations there. I'm probably going to fail you on that one. Nothing immediately comes to mind. I know some more critical commentaries will sometimes include volumes on the Apocrypha, so you might look in that direction.
All right, awesome. And if you're thinking of critical commentaries, what are the names or series or that kind of thing that would come to mind for that?
Yeah, like Hermeneia, Anchor, Old Testament Library, New Testament Library. Well, in this case, probably Old Testament Library. Some of those sort of volumes.
Awesome. Thank you. Any way to upgrade a commentary that you already have that has a second or third edition? I don't know the ins and outs of that. Do you know, Kirk?
Yeah, so you'd have to buy. So if you own like the first edition of a commentary, you can't automatically update it since it is technically a new book from that publisher. So you'd have to buy. So say I own the first edition of Gordon Wenham's 1 Corinthians commentary. If I want the second edition, I actually have to buy that second edition. So that's how you'd have to go about doing that. And typically the first edition is going to be a little bit less expensive since it's been dated now. So
okay. And that makes sense because like when you think about the physical book of it, right? Like that's like a different publication altogether, right? So
Mhm.
it's gone through a completely different editorial process and so on. So
And I will
uh,
say too, if you're looking, say you have in mind like a specific biblical book that you want commentaries on, there's some great resources online. Bestcommentaries.com is a group that we've partnered with. And so they have full rankings of commentaries. And so if you're just
well,
like, where do I even start? Those can be some great places to start. And then come back over to logos.com and use some of that guidance to pick out some commentaries that would be helpful for you.
so good. I love it. Well, we're just kind of wrapping up here. Unless there's any final questions that are going to trickle in over the chat, we'll be winding up here. But Kirk, I just really appreciate you being this like wealth of theological, biblical studies knowledge on our team, and that I can always go to you as our resident biblical scholar, who's also down to do a live stream with me. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, and it looks like I'm not seeing any questions here, but we will watch the comments on these videos and do what we can to direct your questions. Also, at the very top of that link that I linked to in the chat, and it'll be linked under the video as well, it will take you to the best commentaries page. There is a number towards the top of there to talk to somebody from our team who can give you some really specific, direct information about the things that you're looking for. So, highly recommend just giving them a call. Tell them Matt and Kirk sent you. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, that's it for all of this. Signing off.